Well, hello friends. Well, in this video we're going to introduce you to Arty, the CNC machine that we acquired about 10 years ago now, believe it or not. Time flies when you're having fun. And also show you our Arty's friend R2D2, which is actually the dust collector. I just think the dust collector looks like R2D2, but what can I say? But most importantly, in this video, we're going to show you the process that we use to make a new tabletop or work surface for Arty. The old one, as you see here, is nothing but a series of 3/4 inch holes. But in this video, we're going to make a new one that has the same 3/4 inch holes, but also an added feature where we're going to drill some holes. I forget the exact dimension. That will allow us to tap 3/8 inch threads into the MDF top. And these are special taps that I have that are designed to tap wood. They're not metal taps. They're only to be used in wood. So anyway, we're going to show you the process and show you some clips of Arty doing his work and show you the final result as well. So hope you enjoy. Now in this clip, what we see is Arty starting on his own new work surface. And in this video, he is starting to drill the new 3/4 inch holes in the new work surface. And then after that, upcoming here real soon, we'll show you Arty at the end of the process cutting the new 3/4 inch holes. Now in this clip, you're seeing Arty much further along in the process. Arty is done cutting the 3/4 inch holes and is starting to cut the smaller holes that will be tapped into 3/8 inch by 16 threads per inch, I think it is, holes to accept plastic bolts that I'll use to hold down clamps. These clamps will be used to hold the wood down for various projects and of course can be positioned anywhere in the work surface. In this clip, I've got Arty late in the process. It's finishing the little holes that will be tapped to the 3/8 inch bolts. And in this clip, a little later on, I'm also showing you some of the software that Arty uses to run the programs. Arty is run by a software program called Mach 3, and you'll see that here in a minute. There's the Mach 3 program, and to the left there is the program advancing line by line, telling Arty what to do. To the right, the window shows where the head is, where the router is, and how the green arrow to the right shows the movement of the router up and down as it's cutting into the wood. There's the line-by-line commands, the G code as it's called, that Arty uses. And there is the visual of where the router is at and what it's doing. Okay, in this clip I thought I would take the boot off so that you can see the bit a little bit better. In this process, what Arty is doing is cutting a groove that represents the X and the Y position on the work surface. That way, when I put a project on this work surface, I've got a line drawn in the wood exactly where the X and Y axis is to the center of the work surface. There it is. The V-bit now is down into the MDF. It is starting to cut the groove, and it will come across, and then it will retract, and in a minute you'll see it cut in the axis in the other direction. Right there, that was at the exact center, and this is the center the other way around. As you see, it's going right through the center of all my holes. So when this was designed, it was designed that way, so all the holes lined up with the X and Y axis. So it will complete cutting the X and Y marks. There you can see it a little better. Little groove cut there, so I can always see where dead center is and the X and Y is on the work surface. And it will wrap up and come back to the beginning. In this clip, I thought you might enjoy seeing what's called the touch-off process. This sets the Z, X, Y, and Z, which is the up and down. So Arty is coming down now. There's an 1/8 inch bit in there now. It's touching off on that pad. It will sense when it makes contact, and that then sets the 0 for the Z axis, which is the up and down. Okay, in this clip you're going to see Arty finish making some mounting holes that are used to clamp this, well, basically screw this down into the metal of Arty. That's that same 1/8 inch bit, and what it's doing now, the 1/2 inch holes, the countersink holes, were already made. That was on a previous process. Now what Arty is doing is with that 1/8 inch bit, it's finishing the hole that goes down through the MDF. And of course a bolt will go through that. That's countersunk with that 1/2 inch hole, so that the bolt is below the surface. And what Arty is doing now is, you'll see it looks like it's off center. It's actually not. It'll make a little spin because the hole is bigger than 1/8 of an inch. So it just makes a little circle to route out the hole. So what you'll see in this clip is Arty going up and down and making multiple plunges to cut out those holes all the way through the MDF. And there's actually 6 of them, if I remember right, 2 on each end and then 2 in the middle. So that's what this video is about. Once again, I thought you'd kind of enjoy seeing a process that without the dust boot on, so you can see Arty at work. The other ones, of course, make a whole bunch of dust, and so if I took the boot off, particularly when it was cutting the 3/4 inch holes, there would be dust flying all over my shop. So anyway, these little bits don't make that much dust, so that's what's going on here. Now it's moving over to the opposite end and is going to cut the holes for the 2 mounting bolts for the right side of the work surface. Some of you that know something about CNC will question why I've got it set to go so slow. Well, it's kind of a long bit and it's a small bit, so I was quite frankly afraid to speed it up too much faster. I didn't want to break the bit. Now it's moving over to do the hole at the bottom of the work surface. And you won't see it do the middle here, as I remember I added the 2 middle mounting holes, and so that was a separate process to drill those 2 holes. So you won't see that. It'll come back to the center, and Arty is done with that process. Okay, here is the new surface for Arty. It's got the 3/4 inch holes that the old one had, but now it has a whole bunch of 9/16 inch holes that I'm tapping. Yes, I'm tapping into the wood a 3/8 by 16 threaded hole so that I can screw in holders when I do CNC work. And this thread, or I'm sorry, this tapping mechanism was designed and sold by the wood whisperer Mark Spagnola. And when he came up with these several years ago, they are specially designed to cut threads in wood. And of course this is MDF, which is a little brittle, but I've done several test pieces and put amazing amounts of pressure on it, and it has worked just fine. So I'm going to go for it, and I figure, well, if I wear one out or if one gives loose, I can always put an insert in there, drill out for a metal insert. But I really don't like to put metal inserts in here because it's a CNC bed. And if something goes wrong with the CNC program or with the CNC machine and that bit dives into the bed, I don't want metal down there. I just want wood, because that will certainly save the bit, save the router, and probably save the machine. So anyway, that's my logic, and so that's what we're doing. But I got a whole bunch of holes to tap. So obviously it's really important to have the drill straight when I'm tapping these holes. So I'm using my Woodpecker's Auto Line drill guide to hold the tap nice and straight. So we'll go ahead and do one here so you can see how it works, and how well not only the tap works, but how well the drilling jig works. So here we go. We're through. Make sure we go deep enough so we get all the threads nice and clean. We're about 1/3 of the tap is sticking out of the bottom, so let's bring it back out. Works great. Let's see if I've got a clean one here. Oh, by the way, I did countersink these a little bit because the first one I did chipped out, and it looks like on this one I could have countersunk a little farther, so I'm not going to put the screw in that one until we can countersink a little deeper. So let me do that real quick. Whoops. So take the little drill off. Put the chuck back on. Put on the countersink. And we'll countersink that just a little deeper. There we go. Now let's see how the threads work. Look at that. A little squeaky, but that's okay. By the way, if you're wondering, where do you get 3/8 inch plastic bolts? Well, the answer is you make your own. You get the plastic threads through McMaster Carr, because you can't buy a plastic bolt that's long enough, at least long enough for my purposes, for the different jigs that I'm going to want to do. In the past, I've used plastic toilet bolts that were used to hold the cover on a bathroom toilet, but they were a little short. They were only about 2 1/4 inches long. And by the time you got the thickness of your project and the thickness of the clamps, and sometimes you have some cushion underneath or some spacers underneath because you don't want to drill into your work surface. So anyway, these are 4-inch nylon plastic stock, and then I bought the nylon wing nuts, and I epoxied the wing nut onto the 4-inch nylon 3/8 inch stud. So, works pretty good. That noise is a little obnoxious, but I'm sure that'll wear away, or a little bit of wax will take care of that. Okay. So in this clip, and by the way, this is the last clip I have for you, I'm making the little clamps. They're 2 inches wide and about 6 inches long. I'm making the little clamps that will be used on Arty's new table, along with the plastic bolts that bolt into the new work surface. But anyway, I'm on my drill press here, and I don't know if you can see this. I don't think you can see it very well in the video, but recently I added a laser light to my drill press. So there are red crossbars now that project down on the table that tells me exactly where the point is to the drill bit. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, this clip is showing you making the clamps that I'll use to hold the projects down on the work surface. Here we're starting the second one. By the way, the fence has a vacuum attached to it, and pretty cool to get rid of all the chips and debris right away. And as some of you probably know that do woodworking, that is the woodpecker's drill press fence. So I just line it up to the laser crosshairs and plunge right in. The holes are 1 inch apart and in the center of the clamp, of course. I think that was one of the very first times I used my new drill press laser. There are the 6 new clamps, and I added sandpaper on the end of them to give a little more gripping power, and there you see it on the table.